What is line P called? Tangent. Bless you. What is point B called? The point of tangency, yes. And what is line Q called? No. Say it again. Secant. A chord stops on the edge of the circle. The secant goes through the circle. Okay? So you will need to be familiar with the... You'll need to be familiar with the definitions that are in this chapter. Okay, those are just 3 of them. Is everybody okay with that? Got a couple people still writing, so I'm going to wait just a minute. Go ahead. Are you good? You don't have to stop if you're not finished. Keep going. Okay.
Oh my God.
All right. So if it tells me that my arcs are congruent, what does it mean about my chords? They're congruent. So PQ and QR are congruent, and so are the arcs. PQ and RQ are the same degrees. Nope. So X is going to, since PQ and QR are congruent, we're just going to take and set 2X equal to 60. And then we're going to find out that X is 30, yes? Okay. What kind of angle is angle Q? Central or inscribed? Inscribed, and that's how much of its arc? Half. So half of this 140 is 70. Is everybody okay with that? Okay. Now, if I know that arc PQ and arc RQ are the same, what do I know about the degrees of a circle?
360.
360. Well, what is arc PR? So if I subtract that arc from 360, that gives me 220, right? But how many sections does that need to be split into? 2. So then I'm just going to take and I'm going to divide 220 by 2. So each arc is going to be 110. Okay, again, it either will tell you that your arcs are congruent or your chords are congruent, which means in turn the other one is congruent. If it says the chords are congruent, then the arcs are congruent. If it tells you the arcs are congruent, then the chords are congruent. Yes, sir. So I was trying to find the measure of this arc and then also the measure of this arc. We know that they're the same because it told me that right here.
No, I'm talking about
Oh, yeah, I'm getting ready. So a full circle, how many degrees is a whole circle? 360. So what I did was I took out this part, which is where I got the 220 from, right? And then I needed to divide it in 2 because each one of these other 2 remaining arcs are equal. So I just took the 220 divided by 2 and got 110. And so that's the measure of PQ and RQ. Make sense? Mm-hmm.
And that equals RQ, right?
Yes, RQ and PQ. Come on. I'm trying to erase all my markings so you can see. One thing while we're waiting is next week. I still am contemplating on whether we do algebra review or we do a project. I just really don't think you can do a project without being absolutely crazy. A tessellations project. The problem is you guys can't talk in an inside voice and not pick on each other and scream and holler and yell and keep your hands to yourself. And I cannot take a week of doing that. So that would be even worse. because then you would be trying to talk over a movie and it would be even more loud. No, we're not going to just chill. You can't just chill. That's what I'm trying to say. Huh? That depends on how the rest of this week goes. I don't know. My patience is wearing thin, and I can't deal with the loud and the noise and the rudeness and all that other stuff. All right, there you go. In this picture, we have, what is the line that is vertical? What's that called?
That's a diameter.
Diameter. It goes through the center of the circle. We learned a theorem that says if a diameter and a chord are perpendicular to each other, then the diameter does what to the chord? Cuts it in half, as well as all of the arcs and everything else, yes? All right, so what am I going to have to do to find ED? Pythagorean theorem? Mm-hmm. So you guys got what? 12, okay. So ED is going to be 12. Come on. Which means CE is also what? 12. And then CD would be the whole thing, which would be 24. What is QA called?
It's not coming up on his screen.
Radius.
Hey, low. Oh, why are you always putting your
Huh?
I said,
Subtract. Oh, come on. Hold on. Okay, so we said that's 12, that's labeled 13, that's labeled 5. We said that's 12, so the whole thing was 24. Again, the next one they were asking me for, yeah, hold on. If BC is tangent to my circle, what does that mean it is at angle C? Which makes what kind of angle? Yep. Okay, and then QC is labeled as 6. What is QC?
QC is
Radius.
Radius. And is there another radius in the circle?
Yes.
What?
QA.
So what is QA going to be? Which means QB, the whole thing is going to be 10. And then how do I figure out what the last one is? X squared plus 6 squared equals 10 squared. So that one's going to be what?
8.
Got it?
No, it's just half
Days. Till 11:20. I'm not going anywhere. No, not this week. When for exams, which are 2 weeks, starting in 2 weeks, they'll be half days.
Isn't it Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday?
This week we're doing block schedule. We're just doing 2 classes a day, but they're full days. It's because the EOCs. We have to have like 2.5 hours. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for exam. It's like not EOC. Or is it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Or would it be
The angle. All right, listen. PJ, turn around. how much is a whole circle? 360. So what is the measure of the arc from A all the way around here to C? Which means the other side is going to be 100, okay? Then it's asking for the angles. It is asking for angle ACB. ACB. That is inscribed or central? Well, not really inscribed, but it's kind of like an inscribed, which means it's how much of its arc? Half. So what is that angle going to be? Right? And then the other angle is ACD, which is also half of its arc, which is... So really you could have just found one of the angles and subtracted it from 180 to get the other one. Chapter 12? 12.3 or 4. I can't remember exactly. Everybody good? Watch. 2 chords, 2 secants, or a secant and a tangent? 2 chords. So remember 2 chords. It is one piece. Let me label what they tell me. They tell me DB is 9. They tell me BE is 2. They tell me AB is 3. And they want me to find BC. Remember, one piece of, or the pieces of the chords multiplied together, so 3 times X equals the other 2 pieces, 9 and 2 being multiplied together. So 3X equals 18, and therefore X is going to be 6. One piece times the other piece is equal to the product of the other. Piece times piece equals piece times piece. Okay. All right, next, same picture. It tells me arc AD is 60. It tells me arc CE is 80, and it wants me to find angle CBE. That's this angle right here. Is the angle inside or outside of my circle? Inside. So what do I do to my arcs if it's inside? Yep, so we're going to go 60 plus 80, and we're going to divide it by 2, which is going to give me 140 divided by 2, which is 70. Okay. Again, we need to go quickly enough to write it down, and then we're just going to have to work through it together at this point, okay? Because we're running low. Huh? I want it back, but yeah. Good? Okay. Whoa. All right, draw this. We're going to go, I'm going to give you like a minute to draw it, not even. 30, 45 seconds maybe. ED is the segment. So it tells you that GD is 16. Oh, I see. Yeah, I see. So that will be 6 of 32. See that will be 60. Two chords, 2 secants, or a secant and a tangent? 2 secants. So with the segment lengths, let me label what they tell us first. They tell us that AB is 3. They tell us that AD is 4. And they tell us DE is 8. And we want to find BC. Okay, so that's what I've labeled, is what they told me. With 2 secants, it is the whole times the outside equal to the whole times the outside. Let's start with the top piece. What's the whole length up there? Nope.
No, X plus 3.
X plus 3. 3X means 3 times X. All right, so it's the whole X plus 3 times what's the outside piece? 3. Equals the bottom one. What's the whole one there?
12.
12 times the outside piece, which is 4. So we're going to have to multiply both of those first of all. Okay. Then we're going to subtract our 9. So 3x is going to equal 39. So therefore BC or x is going to equal 13.
Wow.
No, these aren't tangents though. These are secants. Tangents theorems are that if they touch the radius of the diameter, they're perpendicular. And then if a radius touches, no, that's not it. That's really it. All right, can I erase?
Yeah.
All right, then we need to do question 21. It tells me that arc CE is 60. It tells me that arc BD is 10, and it wants to know angle A. Where is that angle, inside or outside? Outside. So what do I do to my arcs? Subtract. The bigger one minus the smaller one divided by 2 is going to give me 25.
We have like 3, so we can probably do one more time. No. Just leave the bell on the time.
Tell me about the case of the bus. Oh my God.
Yeah, well, then you just don't.
Tell me about John. Tell me about motion.
Here we go. Oops, hold on. Let me just, okay. Stop. It keeps moving every time I try to make it bigger. While you're writing, just the last 2 we will not have time to get to are about the circle equation. It's going to give you an equation. It's going to ask you to pick the center and ask you to pick the radius. That's all. Not graphing, nothing like that. It's just going to give you the equation of the circle. It's going to ask you to identify the center and identify the radius. That's it. And I hate to go so quickly, but I'm going to kind of have to start on these. I know some of y'all are still drawing, but BC is 2. AB is 6. What is this? 2 chords, 2 secants, or a secant and a tangent? Secant and a tangent. So remember, that is your tangent squared equals whole times outside, except for my pen's not writing right now. Oh, it's messy. It's supposed to say whole times outside. Oh, it was writing. Excuse me. DC is what I'm looking for, so I'm going to call that X. So X squared equals, what's the whole thing?
No.
8. So the whole times the outside is 2. So that's X squared equals 16. So therefore it's going to equal 4. And yes, I'm sorry, I'm rushing, but the bell is going to ring in just a second. One other, last one. Let me erase real quick. It says angle C is 40. It says DB is 30, and we want to know AD. So we would have to set this one up like this. Bless you. X minus 30 divided by 2 equals 40. That would be X minus 30 equals 180. I'm sorry, equals 80. And so therefore X is 110. And again, the last 2 questions, I'm going to give you the equation of a circle. You're going to have to identify the radius, the H and the K, and identify, I'm sorry, the center and the radius. Those will be the last 2 questions.
I have 2 questions. I gotta go back.